Hello, hello, hello. And we get that. Hey, there we go. Hey, how's everybody doing? How are we doing tonight, everybody? It's my Manic Mondays on Thursday night. I'm your host, CJ Robles. Sorry I missed the last two Mondays. I've been having holiday interruptions. We've had a birthday, a 4-year-old turned 5. And then also we had, I think I just, a birthday hangover. Yeah, we had two parties, I guess you should say, on Mondays. So I wasn't able to actually do the show, and I wasn't able to do any open mics. So I feel really bad about that because I was talking a bunch of mess last time, and then life happens, and that's what I've learned. I've learned in life, when you talk about what you want to do, it's not going to happen. When you think about what you want to do, it might happen. Until you start doing what you're going to do, then you never know what's going to happen. But you learn experience and you learn things. So yeah, I'm very very humbled by a lot of the things that what I say and then what I have to do. But the show goes on. What's they say? Yeah, the thing is the show. The show must go on. And here we are, my Manic Mondays on Thursday. I actually have a convention this weekend I'm supposed to be at tonight, but I didn't. I got out of work late, and then I just got home and I was like, yeah, I got some stuff I got to do around the house. I just rather leave at like 6 in the morning, 7 in the morning to go to Dallas to go to Texas Frightmare. Ooh, going to a horror convention. And I'd rather take off at those hours opposed to like when I got out of work at like 5 or 4:35 to get to Dallas traffic. So I'm in Austin. It takes 3 hours to get to Dallas. And if you leave like at 3:30, 4 o'clock around that time, you could take you like 6 to 7 hours to get to Dallas. So I'm not gonna do that. So I'll just rather leave at like 6 in the morning. I'm up at 4 anyway, so I'm just like gonna leave early. And yeah, I'll pay for a hotel night that I didn't have, but it's okay. I get to check in extremely early. But yeah, so this is tonight's episode. So you're listening to My Manic Mondays, the movie and mental health show. I'm your host, CJ Robles. This is what I call my interactive vlog. This is mainly where I just come in, check in, talk about what I've been up to, and usually going to be something to do with pop culture, movies, or acting. Maybe producing, just a lot of things that I do that I like to stay busy. I have actually if you've been listening to the show, I've been kind of taking a little hiatus on some content creating and stuff because I haven't done anything because I'm actually focusing on my house. And I'm at like 93% done on the renovations, so we're getting there. But I decided to, instead of like dipping in too many things, do what the professionals do and focus on one thing. So the home renovations are almost done. I'm getting there. I'm in my son's room. So before, when you used to see all the memorabilia, all the Comic Cons or Comic Convention stuff is gone, and I'm still in the same spot, but the background's more majestic for my son since he's very he's very high maintenance. But anyways, so tonight I have a special guest. I want to bring him on already. I've been talking for 4 minutes. I told him I was going to talk for about 2 or 3, but and this is a fair warning. At any time in this episode I fanboy out, it's okay, because this is a really cool friend of mine. I only get to see him once in a while, and I'm gonna bring him on because he's got a lot of experience. He's got a lot of know-how about the whole game. He's very talented. He's funny. That was the thing. I met him in 2021 in November at the Rhode Island Comic Con. Rhode Island Comic Con, and just watching him perform, and then being able to talk to him, and then actually having a conversation. I was like, dude, this guy's like legit. He's like, not only is he like educating me, he's having a cool hangout session with me. So I was like, you know what? Let me bring him on eventually. This isn't the episode I would want to bring him in on because this is I took like 2 weeks off. But I think it's very appropriate because this gentleman is all about the conventions, and I'm going to a horror convention this weekend, and I like to kind of talk to him a little about, because he runs the conventions and stuff, or like, he moderates them. So I want to introduce everybody to my Manic Mondays, the viewers. I want to introduce you to a good friend of mine. That is Chuck Staton. Everybody give him a round of applause.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing good, dude. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. It's actually Staton, Chuck Staton.
Staton. Sorry.
Staton. And it's funny because I live on Staten Island.
Yeah.
So I know it's annoying.
It's spelled the same though?
It's similar. It's Staton, and Staten is Staten.
Ah, I'm sorry, bro.
No, everyone does that. Everyone says Staten all the time. And Stanton, they say, where there's no N. So I don't know why that happens, but it does.
You're gonna be Chuck Statham. I know.
All right, I guess it'd be Chuck Statham. I would love to do that.
Oh shit, dude! I didn't know you.
I love doing Jason Statham. Oh, it's like my favorite thing in the whole
Oh
world.
my god, I didn't even know you had that in your freaking arsenal, dude. That's awesome. Right off the bat, hit a home run. Shit, dude.
You just gotta make your mouth real small, and you gotta say things like super quiet. You gotta be like, "Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go to the store. I'm gonna buy some eggs, and you're gonna," and like he has this really weird, like slightly baby tough guy voice. It's real weird. I love it.
You know what movie I got introduced with him was freaking oh my god, it was called it's the one with Chris Evans and Jessica Biel when they were dating.
Oh man,
Paris. I think.
Oh wow. Yeah. See, I was introduced to him through Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels.
Okay, so well, the thing is, in Paris, he's got a toupee on, so he's got a full set of hair.
Oh wow!
So that's what I got introduced to, and then I remember him from. Oh, sorry. You know what? I didn't realize it was the same guy from Brad Pitt.
Snatch.
I didn't realize it was the same guy.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, he's got the same hair, and then and then you start following the Guy Ritchie movies, and I was like, are these all the same movie? Is this what's going on here? But dude, they're awesome movies though, man.
Yeah, they really are. Did you see what's it called? Rock and Rolla?
Yes, I did.
Oh, it's so good. I feel like no one saw that.
Very similar, but Gerard Butler, dude, I love him. He comes in as a badass all the time. Gerard Butler is like if you were to in the movie world, you put a badass, it's gonna be him, man.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know what movie? It's funny. There's a lot of small movies that are just killer. There's a movie called Upgrade that I've been thinking about recently. Have you seen it?
I love it.
Dude, no one knows about Upgrade. It's so good. It's like this kind of, it's this hybrid sci-fi action, very dark movie. It feels like it was made in like 1983. It's fucking awesome. And it came out like 4 years ago or whatever.
Aaron Green, right?
I think so. I don't even know. I honestly don't. It's so good though. Oh, I love it.
Dude,
you know who wrote that? Lee Wanell, who wrote the original Saw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
Dude, Upgrade, but just the thing about Upgrade is the visuals.
Yeah, I know.
And then the fact that they have there's a twist at the end.
Yeah.
And then you're just like, what the fuck? Like, because I thought I was just watching like a sci-fi junkie movie, but it has very Johnny Mnemonic vibes.
Yeah.
But it's like modern, so it's like there's a story in there, and it all adds up. Dude, that is a good. Actually, I thought more people knew about that movie. Oh, you know what? Because it's only sci-fi, right?
It's very sci-fi. It's very dark. It's like it feels like it's from a different era. It's a type of movie that doesn't really get made that much, you know.
I was actually gonna bring up Blade Runner 2049, dude. That movie's been brought up a lot.
Dude, I know it's gonna sound crazy. I've never seen the original Blade Runner. I've never seen any of the Blade Runner movies.
You haven't seen either of them? One or two?
I haven't seen it. No.
Oh man, so those
I know people tell me that 2049 is like absolutely beautiful.
So yeah, it's a slow burn. It's a masterpiece. It's an acrylic painting in motion.
That's what people say.
Yeah, that's what it is. It is that. But I mean, the thing I love about Blade Runner, the original one, was it's the last analog movie. So it's the last movie where they stopped using actual practical effects to do digital, and they actually just went digital after that.
Wow.
I found that out in film school, but I found it in the animation. I went animation.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. So Chuck, where'd you go to school? Because I see that you always have a lot of film credits.
Yeah. So I mean, actually, I went to school at Rhode Island College in Rhode Island, where I grew up, for film, but it was really more for film history. It's one of those things like when you're like 17, 18, they're like, all right, what do you want to do with your life? And you're like, it's kind of too young to really know. So I was like, I want to do film stuff. And they're like, all right, you're going to go to Rhode Island College and they have a film program. I'm like, okay, but it was just history. No hands-on stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But luckily at the same time, it's like I graduated high school and I was going into college. And that summer I also started a punk band with a couple of my friends.
Discount?
Senior discount, baby.
There you go. Yeah, dude.
And right away we were kind of like, man, like, you know, especially being in the music scene where like so many people have bands, how are we going to stand out? Everyone looks, you know, it all seems like you're the same band. And one of the ways we stood out was when we started making comedy videos to promote our shows, our releases, all that stuff. So it was like in college, I was learning about the history of film, like Nanook of the North and, you know, all the crazy old stuff. And in real life, I was kind of going through the crash course of learning how to make film projects because I had to do it for my own independent projects, you know? So it didn't have that much to do. Nothing I did really had too much to do with going to school for it. Like I did go to school. I got the bachelor's degree with a minor in communications at some point, but really it was almost like I just did it to appease my parents. You know, my parents wanted me to have a bachelor's degree, and then I just kind of did everything independently. It's one of those weird things.
But it was like you knew at a young age you were like, I like movies, I like comics. Because you're also like big in the conventions. So like, where do you start? What is the Chuck origin? Is it a movies, comic books? Because like when I go to CJ, I think I gotta say comic books is my like origin, but I got sucked into movies right after that, and then animation.
It's funny because like I think about some stuff now that I didn't realize when I was a kid. Like I remember when I was like a real young kid. I love Spider-Man, I love X-Men, I love the Marvel comics, but it wasn't so much like I'm like, oh, I love this storyline and this. I loved the design more than anything. I loved like just the way that they were designed. I loved action figures, and I think it was film projects though, because like it's a combination of all those different creative things that kind of help shape you. And I remember when I was like in 6th grade, 7th grade, and I had like a big video camera, and I was like making like stop motion stuff with my figures and stuff like that just for fun. And then and when I was in 8th grade, my buddy Justin at the time, his dad ran a limo service, and someone left a video camera in it, and so we started filming music videos in his room at sleepovers. You know what I mean? It was like just whatever. And I think I never really stopped saying, okay, well, what's the next film project we're going to do, from when I was 12 to now? You know, it just never slowed down. It was like we were making those music videos. Then when I was in high school, we started doing like backyard wrestling, me and my friends.
God, yeah,
but not like serious like thumbtacks, whatever. We did it for comedy. We wanted to kind of be the people that didn't fit into that. You know what I mean?
So you joked around. You did a lot.
Yeah, so it was more joking around. We did a lot of sketches. You know, when you're a kid, you do a lot of like, oh, I'm gonna make a dummy, and I'm gonna go to throw my friend out the window, and then it shows the dummy fall out with his clothes on and stuff like, you know what I mean? And so I was always doing that throughout high school, like just little sketches. And then right around college is where the band started, and we started doing kind of like not just like sketch stuff, but also like jackass stuff, like pranks and stunts and stuff like that. We were huge into that with the band, and it really helped us reach people. And that's kind of like, I really feel like it was almost like when you're that young, like, if I'm starting around 12, it's like you just have a creative drive. You don't even know where you want to put it. You know what I mean? You're not even like, you're like, maybe today I want to draw, maybe tomorrow I want to do this, maybe, and you're just trying to like figure out ways to get it out. And I think for me, I mean, it's still a combination of a lot of different things in terms of music and comedy and filmmaking. And I feel like filmmaking is kind of a place where you can take all those things and put them together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's always been film and music for me. Those are the two things that have always drawn me in the most. And also, when I was a kid, I got really into punk rock. When I was probably in like 7th grade, I got into Blink-182. Even younger than that, I got into Green Day, No Doubt, all these different bands. And the spirit of punk rock is always basically like, fuck the big budget stuff and fuck like, oh, this is too hard for me to do. You just take what you have and you get it done.
Yeah.
And that has been such a big part of my identity as a creator in every direction. You know what I mean? So for film, it's always been that. It's always been like, well, what do we have? That's what we're going to work with. Like what's accessible to us? We're not going to say, oh, we'd like to do this project, but we can't because we can't afford it, or it's too difficult, or it's out of our whatever. Let's take the stuff we have and then figure out the project from that and make a project. I think that being in the band for so long and loving punk rock and loving that aesthetic is kind of really what turned me into that type of creator,
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. It's a really weird thing.
Yeah,
But
punk rock and independent go hand in hand.
That's the thing. I mean, I'm wearing this Wrong Reasons t-shirt for Josh Rosh, and his movie. He put out yesterday, I think, that his movie is up for it's on Blu-ray on Amazon and Target. So I was like, oh man. So I was thinking about him today. He's a great dude.
No, yeah, dude. I with one of the poker tournaments there, I sat next to him, and man, I liked him like from the bat, just because he was just very honest. Like that's why I was like, dude, that's why I love going to Jersey, man. I gotta say it. I love going out there with you guys in the East Coast because you guys are just straight up honest, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, he comes from the same place that I do. You know, coming from the same place of the marriage of punk rock and filmmaking, and kind of like, if you want to make something, you just fucking figure it out.
Dude, and I was like, dude, he's right next to Kevin Smith. He's doing the photography. I know he's gonna make a great movie. So when I went out to the film festival to make sure I watched that movie too, I saw Kilgore in that one, and Kilgore was, I was like, that's fucking hilarious. It's like a comedy gore, and then Wrong Reasons. I just knew it was gonna be good, and I was like, dude, I was like, I wish it was a bet because I would have bet right.
Yeah,
right. I like gambling, but God, I was like, that's such a good movie because it takes it. It's not a super mindfuck movie, but it's like, hey, think about this.
Yeah,
and then,
right.
And then you're like, oh yeah, I never thought about it from this angle. And it's
for sure.
it does. It's like I don't want to give anything away from the movie because it's worth like watching from the beginning to the end. And then the Ralph Garman character, the way he acts, the way like I don't know that he helps push that story go through it. Where Ralph Garman's just like he can be funny at any moment, but he keeps it like he keeps it good. I don't want to ruin anything from it, but man, so here it is. Yeah, we're here. Wrong Reasons. I mean, just from the poster alone, it's amazing.
Oh yeah,
like dude, and his wife's in it, and then dude, this movie was good. It was it was at the Smod Castle Film Festival, and I went out to go watch it, and man, it was I knew it was gonna be good, so I was happy. I was one of those guys. I was like, yay! But running into you over there was like it's like cool because it's like I like the community out there. Everybody's like kind of like close, but yet everybody like understands, and they're all here for the same reason. Like egos and everything falls to the side. It's just like, hey, we're here to hang out. We're here to be. We're not talking about bullshit because that's over there. We're here now for here, and I love that. When I get over there, it's just nonstop like. Nonstop Kevin Smith, nonstop movies, nonstop conventions, nonstop comics. I'm like, this is great. Like I always feel like in Austin always, especially in Texas, I always feel like they talk about it but they don't do it. And then now they're doing it, but it's not really for the locals. And I don't know. It's just I'm like, you know what? Like you said earlier, it's just like just get it done. Who gives a shit?
I know. It's tough. It's fun. It's funny because I was always commuting from Rhode Island. You know, I was living in Rhode Island for a long time and working in Jersey with the Tell 'em Steve Dave guys. So for years, I would be like, all right, we're going to film some stuff. And I would come up and stay in a hotel and I'd film at the Secret Stash for like 4 or 5 days in a row with Walt and Brian and Quinn and everybody. And then I'd go home and edit. And then I'd come back out in like a month or 2 months. And then I'd go back. And I was going back and forth for a long time. But it's funny that you say that because Jersey was always a hub of creativity for me too, because that's the reason I came here. You know, everyone I met here and saw here was doing something creative and pursuing it. And it's really cool because that's kind of what it represented to me too. And then eventually I started working in New York with the Tuesdays guys, and I started working with Kevin a little bit and with Mike Birbiglia. And it just became like this area was like where you go to, for me anyway, to actually move forward with this stuff. And so that's the reason I came here. That's the reason I moved to this area.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 25 minutes from Hazlitt, which is where Tell 'em Steve Dave is, and I'm 40 minutes from the city, which is where Tuesdays with Stories is.
So let's talk about that, dude. I've been, dude. Okay, so first of all, I don't know who designed the pattern of that show, but it works great.
Which show?
The Tuesdays.
Oh yeah. Oh, the actual the studio.
Well, just everything about that show is great, and I know it's you. I just want to know how much is you.
Well, so it's so funny. Like Mark and Joe are killer. And they're a really weird pair because I think when you first start listening, you're like, oh, these guys are the same guy. But the more you know them, the more you listen, they're like, oh, these guys are opposite guys who just kind of talk in the same way because they're so different. But yeah, I mean, when I came in, the reason I came into Tuesdays was because, you know, for people who don't know, Tuesdays with Stories is a podcast with Mark Norman and Joe List. And during the pandemic, I love the show. It was like, I thought it was the funniest podcast I ever heard, Tuesdays with Stories, without a doubt. And I loved it. And during the pandemic, they kept saying like, hey, everybody, like we're not making any money on the road because all the clubs are shut down. We can't tour. Thank you so much for signing up for our Patreon. That's where we're making our money right now. And I was on their Patreon and it was really not super well organized. There wasn't a lot of consistency. A lot of it was just Zoom videos, and that's it. And I was like, man, it's going to be hard to get people to continue to pay for this, because the future of independent stuff, I think, unfortunately, is going to be that people who are like A-listers, like, I'm not, this is a, you know, hypothetical, like Oprah Winfrey is going to be like, join my Patreon, and she's going to be able to afford like a real set, and you're going to see like an identical production of her show on something like that. And obviously Oprah Winfrey isn't the best example, but you know what I mean? Someone with
somebody, or Kelly Ripa, or somebody, someone on Today Show, or some bullshit like that, where they're gonna be like,
people with these unlimited pockets to pour into production with these monstrous fan bases that are down to spend $5 a month or whatever it is. And it's going to be tough, because then these independent creators are going to have to kind of compete with that in terms of the audience deciding where to spend their money. So I came in Tuesdays and I was like, let's make stuff that's actually like really well produced and really consistent, and different shows and ideas where people can reach out to you, and different ideas that can kind of basically take the actual formula of the show and really diversify it, and makes you feel like you're getting something different on the Patreon, something that's consistent, something that's, you know, a little bit more valuable. Because that's what I learned from Walt Flanagan at Tell 'em Steve Dave. That's what they do with the Tell 'em Steve Dave Patreon, is they really make it valuable. And luckily, Mark and Joe were open to that. And so I came in and we got to really, really revitalize Tuesday's Patreon and do that. And now, you know, we basically tripled the Patreon numbers in the first 18 months. Dude. So it was really, really good. It was a huge step for me. And I really appreciate, you know, coming in.
Yeah, dude. I what you just said right now, I summarized in my head, because you gave me that conversation we had. We've had a few conversations in Jersey, and that one of them I was like, all right, I gotta focus on this. I gotta clean this. Yeah, dude, that you're absolutely right. Joe List and Mark Norman are, when you're actually in the beginning, you could think they're the same, unless you know their comedy style. And I was like, all right, I know these guys. I get, you know, you got Joe List, or he's some, you don't know if he's being honest or he's making it up or if he's really having a good time. But I'll tell you one thing, he likes the prostate cancer. The prostate. You know, like,
yeah.
So that's my horrible Joe List impression. But then you got the Mark Nolan. Hey, comedy, sure. Hey, it's like,
I mean, it's funny, because when you first start listening to the show, you hear like queef, anal, jizz, I'm gay, you know, all this stuff like that, and like they both do it. So you're like, oh, these guys are the same. But then they slowly are like, you know, like Mark is always like, basically, if I could like draw Mark in my head, it's him like holding onto his hat, running after a bus with an open suitcase with all of his clothes flying out of it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And Joe is the exact opposite of that guy. Joe, you know, so it's really funny to deal
it's
with
funny
them.
because on the details, because Mark is used to the comedy. What I've noticed is that people talk to him like this, and so he'll just tell you everything, like, oh, this is what happened, we're there, yeah, sure, this, that, all that. But Joe, he's very detailed. So not only is he telling you about the Airbnb that he stayed at, he's telling you how he liked it, how he rated it. Like
that's true. That's a good observation. That's a good observation.
Even though he's not like, even the conversation kind of starts segueing, he'll just keep going till it's over. And I'm like, yeah, that guy's like, I mean, it's kind of in his name, List. So it's like,
yeah, he's a lot more neurotic. He gets hung up on a lot of specific details of things. I mean, I bring them stuff all the time. Like for some reason, I don't know why, I end up bringing them stuff in the studio. I'll be like, oh, I went to this bakery, I got you guys this. And no matter what it is, Mark is like, he reaches into the bag, grabs a clump and puts it in his mouth, and he's like, oh, this is great. Joe takes it out slowly, and he like kind of looks at it, and he's flipping it. He's like, I don't think so. He puts it back in the bag and doesn't even try it.
You know, I got to say that about you, man. That's really nice about you. I saw you post something on IG, and it was you getting like not a kolache or something, but something pastry. And then a couple episodes later, Mark brought it up that you were like, yeah, he's always bringing us stuff. Chuck's always bringing me things here. And then, but you know, he always turns it like some kind of innuendo where it's sexual or homophobic or some shit.
Of course.
And then I was like, yo, Chuck took his time to get those bagels for you, motherfucker. Like, you know, it's like boy, it's kind of funny. I follow you, but then I hear the conversation. I'm like, hey, dude, he's like taking his time, because it was.
That's funny.
I mean, I don't mean to connect the dots, but they're right there in front of me. So I was like,
oh yeah, no.
It is funny how like the conversation, and it's like I'm starting to understand as well, like because that show they kind of bring you in here and that doesn't matter. You're producing it, where
Yeah.
the other show where Unbearable,
Funbearable,
you're part of it. You're in
Oh
the
yeah.
middle. You're in the midst of all that. So it's really cool. But it's always like the other day with the porn conversation, like they called you out, but like you don't have to say anything. Just like Chuck's always like, I was like, God damn, that's brutal. But I gotta say the that's so stupid. That was such a stupid like pop. The thing was I do like about that show is the fact that it is it's kind of like quick. It's kind of like, hey, offensive. If you're gonna be here, hang out. No, but if you want to hang out, here you go. And then you start going to random conversations, whatever. But then at the end, it ends in comedy, and it's like a good conversation. It's just whatever conversation, and I like that. Like, cause sometimes you listen to JRE, it's like 3 hours long, so you gotta like pay attention. But with your guys' show, you're paying attention, but then you're also like, oh, is that you did a show the other day, and somebody said this, and you can connect the dots quicker. I don't know, for me.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. It's like they jump around so much that it caters to people with when you're just kind of like when you have a short attention span or when you're running around doing different things for sure. Yeah.
And that show is crazy. Good. Are you the one doing the YouTube clips and all that? Is that you?
Yeah. So basically, it's funny. There's basically when I came in, there was a producer. And I was just like, hey, I'm gonna do video content. I'm gonna do videos for your Patreon. That's what I thought I was gonna do. And for a while, we did that. And then whenever I would come, especially because I was coming from Rhode Island, they would be like, well, let's film a couple episodes. And so I'd say, okay, and I'd film that stuff. And then they finally got a studio because we're recording it at Mark's apartment, and we had our producer Shelby, and they kind of just had us switching off. And so I would come in and do some stuff one week and do a couple things, and then Shelby would come in, and I was always doing like the documentary stuff, all the real film stuff. And then one day Shelby just called up and quit, and they were like, can you handle all this? Like, can you do everything? And I was like, I can. And I just kind of naturally took over everything on the show. So basically everything you see is my production company, which is me. And the main person that helps out with Tuesdays in my production company is a guy named Kyle Ballagaran. He's a great dude. And what I'll do is we have like, I think we have 6 rotating shows on the Tuesdays with Stories Patreon. It's Hot Gay Sets, which is the documentary series. I'll always edit all that stuff and shoot it. And then it's Musqueef TV, where they do Seinfeld commentaries and Curb commentaries. Yeah. They do Q&Anal, where they do
oh god, these are great, dude.
questions from the listeners. We do Special Education, where they educate people about specials.
yes, dude.
And they do Give It a Goog, which is when we look up old videos of them and they have to watch them and comment. And so I'm always there filming it. I'm always there in the room and kind of like, giving them the clips, giving them the questions. But over time, what I do is I'll figure out the show, and then I'll train my buddy Kyle, who works for me, to do the edit on it. And so now he does most of the edits on the podcast-based stuff. And then I'll figure out the way to do the clips and like the frames and all that stuff. And I'll pick all the clips and he'll help cut them. And so I kind of run everything. And now I have Kyle as my like assistant that helps me actually get the actual work of it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and those 6 ideas, those 6 concepts, are those all yours, or are those all that kind of came together, or they had them and you just fix them up, or
they're pretty much mine. I mean, I think that they did an AMA at some point on the Patreon before that, but even if they hadn't done that, I was like always with Patreon, because it's people saying, I get your free show and now I want to pay for more. My philosophy is always like, well, let those people communicate with you somehow. Yeah. So I always would push a Q&A. In fact, I think I'm going to start hosting a Q&A show on Tell 'em Steve Dave as well on their Patreon. And they did a couple Seinfeld commentaries over the years, but I'm not trying to criticize anyone, but they were very like kind of haphazard, and they were like, there was no video. It was just their vocal track over the episode playing. And I was like, that's not how we should do this. We should make this feel like a real show with an intro, an actual video of you guys, and like a picture-in-picture thing, and I made a really produced intro that looks like an NBC 90s promo for like a Seinfeld episode, and it says like Musqueef TV Tuesdays, and it looks just like that kind of style. So it's all my ideas in terms of like turning them into full-fledged shows, you know.
Yeah.
And I actually have a lot of ideas, but it really comes down to what they have interest in and what they have time to do, because they're really busy. It's really interesting coming from Tell 'em Steve Dave, because Tell 'em Steve Dave, you know, super successful podcast, very successful Patreon, but their whole like existence is to make that content.
Yeah.
With Mark and Joe in the world of comedy, the podcasting is a side gig to their stand-up comedy. So they're gone 3 to 4 days a week, every week, no matter what. And we have to exist within the other couple days to help them make money during the day. So in other words, we almost never film outside of Monday through Wednesday because, you know, they're just busy doing other stuff. And we always film at the same time. So usually it's like, we're going to come in, record the normal episode, and then we have a half hour to 45 minutes to do a bonus. And so I have to be in charge of like what's coming next, what it's going to be. And sometimes they'll come in and they'll be like, all right, what are we doing for a bonus? And I'll be like, here are the options we can do this week. What do you want to do? And I'll give them 3 options that I came up with. I'm like, I picked out another 15 Q&A questions. We have this special you can do as special education. I have this much Curb downloaded or whatever to do Musqueef TV. Or we can do Give It a Goog. I have a bunch of old clips of you guys we can go through, and I'll set them all up and stuff. And then they kind of choose out of the stuff that I bring to the table.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's really interesting.
No, I mean, I just like everything that you've started from, because is this Tell 'em Steve Dave, is that where the Patreon, is that what started for you, or you already had a Patreon and you just brought it to them?
No, it was to be honest, they were doing the TV show Comic Book Men on AMC. And they were doing Tell 'em Steve Dave, the podcast, audio only for years. And I came in because they were doing a live show. They were doing Tell 'em Steve Dave live at the Gramercy in New York. And I was like, you guys should be filming that, because they weren't filming anything. So they hired me to film it. We put it out as a Blu-ray. I directed that shoot and I edited it, and it sold out immediately. And we released like 2 more Blu-rays of some ideas they had. Then AMC canceled Comic Book Men.
Yeah.
And so they were about to lose a bunch of income from, you know, the show that they had been on for 7 years. So I'm not sure exactly who, you know, decided it behind the scenes, but obviously Walt, Brian, and Quinn decided to start a Patreon where they're like, well, let's do, side shows from Tell 'em Steve Dave. We'll do video content. And when that was starting, they asked me if I would come in and be a part of it. And I hadn't done Patreon content. I didn't really know about it. And we all kind of figured it out together, where they do a very produced video every week. And we actually have a couple of video crews that do it. And now we have a couple of video crews that contribute. But right away, it was like, oh, we're going to do video projects every week. And we just started filming and kind of like slowly figuring it out. So by the time the Tuesdays opportunity came around, I had a ton of projects under my belt that kind of fit into that world. You know what I mean? At this point, we've done maybe, I don't even know, almost 300. I would say we started in July of 2018, I think. And so we haven't missed a week. So we've got to have like, you know, between 225 and 250 releases on Patreon since then. So the Tell 'em Steve Dave stuff is very consistent.
So since that started, it hasn't stopped. And
yeah,
is that more like what do you call it, intimate, a little bit more like smaller, or is it a big?
It's actually way bigger, much bigger. Okay. It's like way bigger. Like the Patreon itself is hugely successful. Like they make a ton of money on the Patreon. So I'll say, but they put it into the projects. So like, I'll put it this way. This week's show that I just directed, it's called Let's All Go Toho the Movies. That's the show. And what they do is it's Walt Flanagan and Sunday Jeff, another guy in the world. And they're on Monster Island, right? So we film it all on green screen. And I made this Monster Island beach. I put it together from old Toho movies. Like it's a background. They're on the thing and they watch an old like Godzilla movie on these old like little TVs. And there's usually like a sketch at the end with the main monster. And we have this woman who is this incredible costume designer named Melissa Daigle. And she'll make a costume of these monsters. She just made a King Ghidorah costume.
Oh, God.
And one of our guys did it. And I shot the heads separately on green screen. And I animated them onto the body of the costume, and so it's way more production, way more.
Dude,
And we do that every week.
does that come from like a passion you have inside that you're just like it needs to look like this, or is it more like the strict professional part, like it needs to look like this?
I think I have a really bad like perfectionism thing.
Okay.
Where it sucks because like I cannot walk away from a project being like, oh, this could have been better. This could have been better. And like, I mean, I maybe I'm getting better as I get older, saying like, well, this doesn't matter as much as this, or this doesn't matter as much as this. But for the most part, like if it's, like Walt came to me and he's like, what do you think we could do for the three heads? And I'm like, let's film them on green screen and animate it. Like, I know that if I just kind of kept the head loosely around where the neck was, it'd be fine. But I'm like, I can't. And I had to keyframe it to move with the neck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like I have to put that. If I can watch it, afterwards and say that doesn't look as good as I could make it, I can't live with myself. You know what I mean?
I've had like, I mean, dude, I'm still like, for some reason I've been like level 1 for like the last 20 years. But like really like it's like I'm starting to let it down more where the quality it's a story more based. More of like the idea, also too the story behind how it got there is I love more nowadays.
Yeah,
and
sure.
That's where you do get the Patreon followers. That's where you do get the people that go to the events. That's where you do because they understand. And I never realized that, dude. All my years I was more like just like a plug in, fill here, you fill in, you fill in here, just go here, do this. I never understood it till I really started making my own stuff. Where I realized I was like, oh shit, like. There's a lot of moving pieces, but you can do them yourself. But just doesn't matter if you hit them right or wrong. Just get to the end.
And I also think like one of the things that is really a difficult part of this. It's funny because there's so many different levels to like making it or success. I think my first level of like my first successful thing was basically to have consistent income from filmmaking.
Yeah.
Then soon after came like, well, could I completely support myself financially from filmmaking? And I've reached that point. But now I'm getting to this point where there's this speed bump of like, okay, well, now you're getting so much work and you can't stay on top of it all of yourself. Like you just can't. So in the past couple of years, I've had to start the production company and I've had to hire multiple people. So it's like Kyle Ballagaran is like my main guy. Stephen Griss is another guy who helps me out a lot. He's a great dude. And there's a couple people out there who help me with different things. And then there's even people that are part of the Tell 'em Steve Dave world. And that delegating and that thing of like being able to find the people you can count on and getting into a routine is so helpful. Like I even think about like with the Let's Go Toho the Movies thing, like Stephen Griss did the rough edit on the video and Declan Quinn, our audio guy in Ireland, he did the mixing on the audio for all of it. So I get to say, okay, I go in, I direct it, and I figure out all the pieces, and I send the audio to this guy, and I send the footage to this guy. The audio comes back finished to me, and the video came back probably like 25% done. There's a lot to do on this. But those people are like instrumental in terms of being able to actually get these projects done. And like the more people you can amass like that and the more solid members of people that you can count on, I think the more productive you can be. So really what you want to do is you want to say, well, who can I find that can do this at this high level that I can trust? And that's been a really weird speed bump of moving forward with this stuff that you're like, oh, I gotta figure out how to manage people, hire people, delegate, communicate, make people feel good about what they do, make sure they feel comfortable. Like it's a lot of weird managerial stuff that I didn't think was really going to be on my plate at all,
Yeah. I've been looking at a lot of project management videos and books.
Yeah.
Just like that's kind of filmmaking. I mean, it is filmmaking, but just trying to.
It totally is. It's especially at the higher you go.
Yeah.
Way more a part of it.
Yeah, and I mean, even like when you told me that at one point you gotta learn to trust the people. I had like the trust issues in me. I learned from filmmaking. There's a reason why I wasn't growing because I wasn't trusting. So
it's
then
tough.
Once I started letting it go, I was like, oh shit, he's right. Oh god damn it! Like it's like it sucks because the answer's like right in your fucking face. It's right there, and you're just kind of like, I could say it, but that's not it, is it? And then you're just like, hey, dude, just trust it. You'll get bound that, and you just do it, and it goes. But at the same time, I think it's just being held accountable. I think a lot of the stuff is just, I mean, when you do it, it just kind of starts. But I gotta ask you about because I don't know if you get credit for this, or I don't know if you credit yourself for this, but I've seen you work crowds. Stand up comedy, is that something that's just natural to you? Is that something that you think about, or is that something that you just kind of like whatever? Because
God, sorry.
well, because you're also around a lot of like brilliant comedians. Like I want to say that Joe Liz and Mark Norman are like up there in the top 10. You know, like
Oh yeah, I love those
comedies.
guys.
So
Yeah, I look up to them.
So I'm like, if you're around that, you gotta like, and they look at you, so it's like, and I know Chuck, I'm like, this guy's funny. So where does that fall into this? Does that mean like at a young age you fell in love with stand up and you're just gonna go with it, or is it something that you're like, no, I could do this?
Well, it's interesting. So like, I'm not really a stand-up. I don't really do stand-up comedy. I love stand-up comedy. I love the like the building of a bit and the working it out and saying, well, if you change this one word, how does that affect it? Does it make the stakes higher? If you shorten this, if you find this tag, I'm really a student of that kind of comedy, but it's not something that I really pursue. What I pursue in terms of like the live comedy we do is kind of this live two-man show that I do with Brad. And it's
Yeah.
weird because it almost is, it's a little bit closer to sketch comedy, but we're acknowledging that we're on stage in front of an audience and we're have microphones. And so it's a little bit this weird hybrid of like all these different styles of comedy. And what you saw, which is funny, I'll fill in the audience because like this was a very weird specific situation. So me and my buddy Brad, who's on my podcast, Funbearable, it's our podcast with Ray Harrington. Brad and Ray are two of the funniest guys I ever met. I'm very lucky to have a podcast with them. I love those guys. And Brad and I have been moderating at Comic Cons for a long time. So we were moderating at Rhode Island Comic Con one year. And, I also happened to work for Kevin Smith on occasion, filming stuff. And I was hired by Kevin to film his event at Rhode Island Comic Con. And you were there. I didn't know you at the time, and you didn't know me.
Yeah. I didn't know you.
And so Kevin was running late because he was doing photo ops, which often happens to people when they're doing photo ops. It just takes a little longer than you expect. So he was running late. But the organizers of Rhode Island Comic Con knew that Brad and I do like live comedy shows, and they know that we're comfortable moderating. So they come up to us. They're like, hey, can you go on stage and kill time? Because the audience was there. You were there. All the people that were there for Kevin were in the audience. They're like, can you kill time? And I'm like, I guess so. I'm like, how long? And they're like, 10 minutes, which is a long time to just be on stage talking. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And it
wasn't 10 minutes. It wasn't.
It was 45 minutes. 45. And it was 45. Yeah, I have the recording. I have video and audio of it. And so Brad and I went on stage, and like I know his personality. He knows my personality. We have a specific way that we play off each other. And all we did was we just told stories for that 45 minutes, and we talked to people about their relationship with Kevin Smith. We obviously tailored it to his crowd, but there was no time for prep. We just went on stage and had to just talk and do it. And it's funny because, you found out about me from that specific thing, and a couple other people did too. A couple other people that are listeners of my podcast were like, oh, the way that I found out about you guys was live at that Kevin Smith thing when you were killing time for him. And that kind of skill on stage, I think it's not nearly as special or nearly as like important as like real like stand up, like really like working bits. But I think that there is a skill to being able to run a show, to communicate with a crowd, to have like even to have a rapport with another guy on stage that you know really well. It's weird because there's a lot of different versions of being in front of a crowd and having a good time, whether it's improv comedy, sketch comedy, stand up, live podcasts, that kind of stuff. And I feel comfortable saying that I feel happy about my skills in the world of being like a podcaster in front of an audience, or a moderator or an interviewer, or even in the world of sketch comedy that Brad and I write together. But I've always loved live comedy, and I got to be honest, I've always loved the idea of saying, well, here's what everyone's doing in this world. Like, let's say it's movies, music, whatever. Let me do something that's different, which is why I think I gravitate towards like projects like the Tell 'em Steve Dave Patreon, or even like Jackass. Jackass is kind of like an offshoot of what comedy is. You know what I mean? So when I see like stand-up, I love stand-up. I love stand-up comedy. I love the world of stand-up comedy. I love documenting it. I love the show we do, Hot Gay Sets, is all documentary. I'm the director of that. I love that stuff. But for me personally, I'm like, I want to do something that's a little different, and I want to do stuff that's can kind of come from a different angle. And if it's myself and my buddy Brad on stage, I feel like because there's two voices, we get to do something a little bit different. But I really appreciate that thing on stage actually impressed you, because that was a very weird, high pressure situation.
Well, you gotta understand, I'm not only am I I'm at the Kevin Smith event, I'm in the front row, dude. I'm the guy, like, I can see the cheek, like I can see a gum right in the bottom of your shoes. I'm
you can see my testicle at the bottom of my shorts.
Oh, look at that. That thing, he shaved that motherfucker. That looks nice. Like, I should shave mine. Manscaped. I need some endorsements. I got a bush. But I think it's funny is the fact that thing looked, because it was like they did, because we're right there. I can see what's going on, and I can see, like, you guys are like, oh, 10 minutes, and then they're like, okay, it's another 10 minutes. And you're like, what? It was like, okay, it's good. And I've been in those situations, so that's what impressed me, because I've already been through that through my little version of it over here. And I see that, and I'm like, did these motherfuckers plan this shit? It looks like a sketch. It looks like they're, because you guys are on stage. You're not going off the stage and talking. You're like on the stage, go to the side. And I'm like, these guys are funny. But it was, so I'm an improver, right? Improv actor. So a lot of the things, I work at the theater. I like directing, like doing that stuff. But my thing about improv and in comedy is I see it as like a giant beach ball. And you have to keep it up in the air. And
yes, exactly.
But y'all did that so seamlessly that night. That's what caught me. I was like, look at these guys. Like, they're good. And then to top it off, when Kevin did show up, you guys just like went like, we're over here, hard left here, he's here, boom. Hey, everybody, here's Brian O'Halloran, here's Jeff Anderson, here's Mary Gigliotti, here's Scott Schiaffo, here's Trevor Furman, here's Kevin Wiseman. Oh, and by the way, the guy that made us late, Kevin Smith. And it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't. It doesn't feel like we spent 4 hours with you guys. It feels like we spent like 20 minutes just fucking laughing, because a lot of the shit you guys did was just like bouncing off each other, like you said, and it's fun. It's like, because I'm like, dude, this guy's. When I saw you at the Smod Castle, I guess, right? Smod Castle, the old one, and I saw you there. I was like, this is Chuck, and that's like it instantly like your name just. I was like, that's it, and then we clicked. Because I realized, I was like, well, we might be the only nerds here. So I was like, I think that's why Chuck is talking to me. Because I'm like,
I think if you're in the Smod Castle, you might be a nerd. I'm just gonna put it out there.
No,
this is like a Jeff Foxworthy sketch.
I know, right? Like it's just like, you might, if you talking about yourself, you might be in the sketch. If you talking yourself in the third person and the fourth person, you might be the fifth. It's like, but
if you have black rim glasses and you're talking about your dick on stage, you might be a nerd.
Yeah, you might be a nerd, dude. Oh God, you know what? I started doing stand up last year, and I'm still at the number 9, but I've done some like simulation stand up, which I make fun of. But one of my things was, I was like, dude, you got to write what you know, and a lot of my comedian friends were like, just write what you know. And I was like, why do I keep writing masturbating jokes? And they're like, well, that's where you start, friend. You got to get through it. I was like, all right. And then I was like, cool. But
I did do stand-up for a little bit, like a long time ago. I did it for a little bit when I was like, do I want to do stand-up? And I was kind of dabbling with it. And Brad and I actually did it together. So all of our shows we did together, like separately, as separate, comedians. And it was kind of part of the journey of figuring out, well, I really like alternative live performance a little bit more than that. But writing what you know, it's funny. I was writing about the fact that I was in the music scene for so long, and everyone expects you to be really cool, and so I felt like I didn't fit. And I say, basically, like, if you think everyone in the music scene is supposed to be cool, and I'm there, I'm like, I feel like I'm Seth Rogen in the Fast and Furious movies. And that was like,
wait a minute, is he in the movies?
No, I'm just saying, like,
that's a good example. Damn,
isn't
you're
that
right.
good? Yeah, so we did that. Example. Yeah, we had it was funny because I really like some of that stuff I wrote. But Brad was killer too. Brad was like, he is great.
I thought Brad was a stand-up. So I was like, getting to know you, I was like, all right, Chuck does everything. So I'm not amazed that he does everything. If I said he does stand-up scenes, he's going to do it. So I thought Brad was a stand-up.
So Brad does improv comedy. He's been doing improv forever. He was trained in Chicago. He's a teacher now, which is, I got to be honest, that night that you saw us, the 45 minutes on stage, what you probably saw was 80% Brad talent, 20% Chuck. You know what I mean? Like, because he's the one that really has the
It
skill
makes
of being there all the time, and it's just that we have such a good relationship, and I know where he is comedically, he knows where I am comedically, that we tee each other up a lot. You know what I mean? Like he's such a little,
makes sense.
you know, bitch boy, and I'm always going to be like the
Well,
dumb, obscene person that like we know where we're going to fall. He had a joke in his early stand up that I loved, where he was like, "You ever listen to?" It's funny because I'm going to butcher it, but he was basically like, "You ever listen to the lyrics of old Elvis stuff?" He's like, "The warden threw a party in the county jail. That's a gross misuse of our tax funds." Which like, and he'd have stuff like that, which I like loved. I love that stuff. It was killer.
That's a good nerd
He's so
joke.
funny. Yeah, he's
You know,
killer. He's so funny.
And you know what? So even because I got that photographic memory bullshit. So even like when I remember going back to seeing y'all at Rhode Island, it makes more sense that Brad is the improver, because he was more on the right side, more like just with the mic standing and just like feeding off of you, and you were walking around, you were moving around more, where it was like I was like, oh yeah, because he's playing the straight man when it looks like both of you guys are, and you're not. He's actually so it makes more why he was standing still and just feeding one word liners, and you were reacting to him. And so I can see that because I thought
he's the best.
I was like, these two stand-ups are great. And then I found out, well, Chuck just does everything. So I was like, oh, okay. And I thought, okay, so that means Brad's just a stand-up. But I mean, that was just a great time. Also, like, you know, even Brian O'Halloran being out there, like, dude, he's funny. I've talked to him a few times online. I've talked to him in live. And I'd be like, dude, when you can do stand-up? Because I haven't done a few. I was like, dude, you need like, he's funny. The guy.
He's excellent.
This show that I have right here, this My Manic Mondayz, it always existed, but I didn't know how to get it started. Once I saw the O'Halloran and I knew I was going to meet him, I was like, oh, this is basically his show. I'm just doing what he does. I've told him to his face, and I'm telling everybody always, like, this is Brian O'Halloran's show, just with CJ in it. I'm not trying to say like you steal your art, but I was like, this guy just, I get it, and I get what he's doing. I understand everything. He's got a professionalism to him. I don't know what that professional part is, so I'm just trying to figure it out. But at the same time,
he's great.
I enjoy everything. I enjoy talking. But Rhode Island, man, if I'm planning on going this year again, so I'm gonna go try to meet up with you. But the whole thing is it's beautiful out there, man. It's not only are you at this convention that doesn't have the hotel, like you have to actually walk to it, but it's open to like this beautiful, like there's like an ocean.
It's awesome.
It's in the fall. Yeah, it's like, dude, I had a lobster at that place around the corner there. And
I love Rhode Island, dude. Like I live in New York. That's where my work is, but I still have a house in Rhode Island, and so I go back there. I go back and forth, and man, I love Rhode Island. It's so varied. I love the food scene there. There's so much arts. You know, RISD is there, which is the top design school in the country. So I think there's a lot of culture that comes from that. But I love Rhode Island, man. You know, I wanted to tell you. I'm not sure if you really know, but like the people who do Rhode Island Comic Con are expanding, and so they're doing more cons now, and they're doing them under a new name, which is Contropolis. So they're keeping Rhode Island Comic Con as the name for the Rhode Island one because it's already so big and established, but Contropolis, and we just did Contropolis, Pennsylvania, and upcoming is Contropolis, Massachusetts, and Contropolis, New Jersey. So they're continuing to expand. They're going to do TerrorCon this year too in Massachusetts. It's going to be awesome.
It's awesome. Yeah. I got Texas Frightmare this weekend. I'm meeting John Carpenter tomorrow.
Hell yeah!
And this second time I met him, dude. I have a video when I did the GalaxyCon meet and greet John Carpenter. Yeah, dude, I fanboyed. That's just the worst one, man. I fanboyed pretty damn hard, man. And I'm just kind of like, I got to redeem myself. I got to meet him. The thing that sucks is they gave me you can't just like get the signature. They got to give you on a kind of like a plan. You got to go on a time, and they gave me Sunday. So I'm like, I wasn't planning on staying there till Sunday, but we'll see. I want to get the signature, but man, it's expensive. Like that's one thing I love about horror conventions. They're a lot more affordable. The ones that are like this convention con or whatever, like was it the Fan Expo ones? Mm-hmm. Those are kind of pricey, man.
I know. It's crazy.
And when did you how old were you when you first got into conventions?
Honestly, I don't think I went to one until I was moderating. I got to be honest. I think that was when I started doing it. So it was pre-COVID. It was probably like 2018, I guess. It wasn't that long ago.
Damn, it's crazy, dude. You adapt pretty well. Yeah, you and I are the same age, so it's like trips me out that I'm like, I find someone else. Yeah, find someone else doing the same thing. Like, damn, it's cool because I didn't start till 2019. Technically, I started November 2018, But
Yeah.
that happened. That was 20. It was November, then December. So I count 2019. Then we had COVID, so I lost
Right.
2020, right? But I got one of my favorite things about Rhode Island was not only the clerks people being there because they were cool just to conversate with them. I got to hang out with Scott the whole time. I annoyed him the whole time.
Yeah.
But what's his name? Courage the Cowardly Dog, Marty Gapstein.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that guy was he was like, he can tell that people were like kind of bummed out, and he was giving hugs, high fives, talking, and I was like, dude, that's what's up, man. Like this
I
guy's
know.
like, at a certain point, he was like, I don't care about money. I'm here for you guys. And I was like, dude, that dude's like a G. So like,
Yeah.
I wanted to meet him. I had him on my list, but I was like, he's at the bottom because I don't have any money for this. But at the same time, I saw him doing all weekend. I was like, F this, man. I'm gonna meet this guy. This guy's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And I've only would have got that at the convention at a thing,
Yeah.
And dude, they're fun.
Dude, they're really fun. We just had Brad just moderated a panel for the two guys that do the voices of Pinky and the Brain. One of them is Rob Paulson and Maurice. I forget his last name. Dude, they are so funny. It's crazy. It's crazy how funny these guys are. I think they came out like right away. They came out, and I remember Rob Paulson as Pinky said something, and Maurice, who does Brain, like right away to him went, quiet, Pinky, or I may hit you. And it was like, it just like brought the house down. I was like, oh my God, they're so talented. It's crazy. It's been awesome. I mean, I had to interview Christina Ricci one-on-one on
Oh,
stage in that
God.
big room. And I'm like, it was so nerve-wracking because I'm like, I've had a crush on Christina Ricci since I was like 11 years old. And like, I'm just like looking at her and like, I was like, how am I going to get through this? But it's nerve-wracking, but I love doing that stuff.
Dude, yeah, it's hard. Like my rule of thumb is I fanboy out the first time I meet somebody I really want to meet. And then the
Yeah.
second time I'm chill. Second thing, and I'm cool with that, But that first one I gotta get it out the system. Like, dude, I just fanboyed out not too long ago here in Austin at the Moon Tower when they had all the comedians here.
Oh yeah.
I saw one of my favorite comedians that's up and coming, and I was drunk, and I was like, "Dude, he's here! Holy shit!" Because I work at a theater, so I get to see a lot of behind the scenes stuff. So I get to see a lot, but you can't be fanboying out. Like,
Yeah, I know.
and I was like taking a selfie, and I was like, "Dude, you're like funny." It was the Namesh Patel.
Oh yeah, Mitch Patel. Yeah.
Dude, he's fucking funny, dude. Like, I love
Yeah.
his style. I love it. I love his honesty. And I was like, dude, I just saw him, and I was like, I can't even, I know who you are. I can't say your name. I've been drinking. I'm sorry. Sophie's like, sure, bro. I was like, all right, cool. But
That's hilarious.
it happens. And it's like, I don't ever really get like that. But there are certain people, because after 2018, when January was like, I'm gonna make a list and I'm gonna meet Stan Lee. That's the first person I'm gonna meet, and then he passed away in January 2019. I was like, shit. That was the first one I had. I was like, wherever he's at, because I've been out for a second. I was following Robert England, and then
Yeah.
dude, you're not gonna beat a Fred Head. Fred Heads are gonna get into that line, and they're not gonna move.
Yeah,
They're not
I know.
They're not gonna take any money. They're not gonna take any bribes. They're not gonna take any offers at all, dude.
That's funny.
They drove like 16 hours to get there, and they're gonna wait 37 hours at that spot to meet him.
That's
He's
hilarious.
worth it though, dude. Robert England's totally worth it. Freddy Krueger.
I hope we get to meet him at TerraCon. We're supposed to moderate all these cons I was talking about, and he's going to be at TerraCon. Mick Foley's going to be at TerraCon.
Oh fuck, dude.
Joey Lauren Adams is going to be at the Massachusetts one. So I'm hoping to do that. We'll see.
When is it? What do you know? What the date?
I think there's one in June, late June, and there's one in early July. I think Massachusetts is late June. I think New Jersey's early July. I think TerraCon is October.
I might just go
Massachusetts.
with there to go hang out with you guys because I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to afford any photos, but I'll
Dude.
go out there to hang out. They're
Dude, do it.
affordable.
Honestly, when we go do it, I usually get together a little team to help us film. So we get them in. So we'll have like 4 passes. It'll be like me, Brad, and 2 people helping us out. Like we just did the Pennsylvania one, and my buddy Get 'em from Tell 'em Steve Dave came with us and helped out and stuff like that. My friend Jen, and my buddy Jimmy on day 2. But it's a fun time. It's really, really fun, and it's cool to get a crew together and just film everything.
Yeah, I think and that's what I'm trying to do here. Let me show you like where I'm at right now because it's been raining like nonstop. I'm now technically I'm behind 4 weeks because can't get power to the back of my podcast studio I have in my backyard.
You're building that?
Yeah, well, I'm doing I had a guy, I have a handyman. He did the structure,
Yeah.
He did I just did the siding and the roofing and then like the cosmetics. But
That's awesome.
yeah. So I got that going, dude. I mean, it's a podcast studio. It's basically a kind of a video store idea I have, like my Manic movies and stuff. And it's just as much as I can think about what I want to do and where I want to be.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
And that's my backyard. Also, I got a 5-year-old, and I want to be home all day. I don't want to I want to work from home, so that way I don't have to like be at somewhere. And
Right.
so this is my little work. But the thing that sucks is that it's been like that. That photo is like 3 weeks old, only because of rain, dude.
I
But
know.
my garden is killing it. And by the way, I love the East Coast, the Garden State. I get it. I love it, dude. I like
get it.
dude. I was looking at the real estate and I was like, God damn, it's expensive. But it's worth it. You know, Austin's expensive, but it's like an up and coming digital city. There's no reason why. There's no reason why it's expensive. I did tell you, whenever you want to come out here with the, because I know Mark Norman comes out on Joe Rogan, so I was like, you want to tag along? I got a place for you, bro.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I know. I'd love to.
And and downtown is like where everything's at, and I'm real close to downtown. I'm pretty damn close to downtown. But you know what I'm saying is like, I didn't know where I was going with all this bullshit. Anyways, but it's
Well, you were just talking about the idea of working on the thing outside and like how it's been pushed back.
Well, it's been raining, dude, and
That's
I can't.
the thing. I know.
And so I started doing like the floors, laminate flooring, and then I got stuck on that. So it's like, all right, let's figure that. But like I was telling you, I said in the beginning of the show, like a lot of the creative stuff I've been doing, I've been kind of pushing aside just to focus on like these home renovations, on all this stuff. Because like, dude, from once 2020 kind of started letting up, I started hitting the ground running hard, and everything was going well for me. Everything was going, but then I totally forgot about this thing called a family. And they weren't taking that shit too serious. I mean, they were taking it way too serious. They're like, look, you could do this shit, but you got us too. So I was like, so I had to take a pause. I was like, I feel like I jumped way ahead, and now I have to. I'm waiting. I'm just like, but it's like, you know, it's what keeps me balanced, dude. And
of course.
I think my son has been more of my like, because I know he's only going to be 1 year old once, 2 years old once, 3 year for 1 year, you know?
Yes.
And now he just turned 5 and I see it and I'm like, dude, we just had his party last weekend and for when he turned 25. And dude, I had so much fun. There's a game I play with the kids called Ah! And all I do is I just go, ah! And either they chase me or I chase them. And that's it. And then I realized that I'm the only dad doing this. None of the other dads are like, you sons of bitches.
No, that's killer. I love that. That's great.
But it's, you know, it's just something I and that's why I think as much as like I've done filmmaking and I love acting, it's like, all right, time for me to get back into it. But this podcasting thing, what I love about podcasting, what I love about stand-up comedy that's why I've been doing more of it. But stand-up comedy is like public speaking.
Yeah.
So it's like it's purest. You can't take that away from you. And that's why I think freedom of speech is amazing. You know, is that you can't take it away from you. But podcasting, I feel, is the more quicker or the more digital, the more modern. I think it's the future thing to do, and I think it's somewhere there, not only entertainment, but it's like it's archiving, documenting. Like, hey,
that's what I think too. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think people don't realize that. I mean, to be completely honest, coming into Tuesdays with Stories, that was one of the things that I was like, you know, you guys have really like documented your careers for 9 years, becoming like 2 of the top comics. And it's like I don't think they look at it like that. I think they were just like, oh, we just put out a podcast every week. I'm like, yeah, but think of how different this week's show is to the show that you did 8 years ago this week.
Yeah.
You know, where you were and what types of gigs you're doing and how you're getting by and how you're living and what you're doing. And I do think that that's a big part of podcasting, that like it's almost like such a new medium that people don't realize that yet, you know?
I you know, and it's like everybody has a podcast, and I'm like, yeah, but they're hard to do. So you might have 100 episodes that you do in 1 year, but you might take a year or 2 off. Like it's to be consistent is very challenging, but you figure it out and you figure out how to
of course,
do it.
yeah.
You know, but yeah, I think you're right, dude. I think like it's a form of, also it's like, I think about it when I was 28 when I got my first iPhone 4. It just came out. And oh no, actually, sorry, the iPhone 5 just came out and I got a 4. And I feel like that's when my timeline started. Because that's when like when my brother wants to go back into when my 21-year-old brother wants to go back into my timeline, he'll go through my photos from when I was 28, 29, 27. Because I'm like,
right.
But every photo from there where I'm younger is from someone else, which is pretty crazy, right?
Yeah, right.
So I'm 28. I'm like 27, 28, doing my own photos, but then someone will tag me from when I was 15, when I was 12.
right.
And then it's like, oh shit, it brings it up. So to me, hey, we got a comment. So to me, it means that there was a, I don't know, your own timeline. Like, this is what you did while you were alive, and this
Right.
because I feel like my kids' era is gonna be a lot of this. You can document someone's whole life before, but even from someone that was born in the 70s, you could document. I mean, if they had money or whatever, but you could document their whole life. Hey, we got somebody. Daniel, what's up? This is Big Blue. He's on the Drunk Turkey show. It's
Nice.
they're called. These guys are from my hometown, from the border. They call themselves the conspiracy theory part of Joe Rogan's brain. So these guys go kind of hard, man. But they're cool, man. They're cool friends. It's always good conversation. I've been on their show a few times. They've been on mine.
Nice.
We're doing well, Blue. Just here
Doing
chilling.
good, brother.
This is Chuck Staton. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
Staton.
Staton.
And I gotta change it. I was gonna try and do this to Jason Statham.
It's me, Jason Staton.
I want my eggs scrambled.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, did you eat my banana bread? My banana bread. The one with the walnuts. You know, like that's
See, that's amazing. You know, it's like I had done the walking for a long time, but then I realized everybody has a walking, so I stopped it. But then there's other characters I have that are kind of doing the walking, and I'm like, why do I still have the walking in there? I'm like, because you put your baseline on that, so it's gonna go everywhere.
yeah, it's fun. It's a fun rhythm.
Oh yeah, dude. The walking, he talks a little like this.
I can't do that. I can't do walking. I never tried. I can't do it. I do Jason Statham and I can do Dr. Dre, but
Dr. Dre.
It's tough. Yeah. I need the beat. So it's tough, but I can do pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it.
If you want to do it, go for it. If
No,
not,
I can't do it. I can't. I need the actual like beat behind it.
I got the Ice Cube down though. The yeah.
That's
Dude,
not
if I'm super wasted, I could do a freaking Ice Cube, man. The yeah. And they're like, what? I was like, dude, Ice Cube started every song. If I could do the clink for what's his name, Akon.
Yeah,
every time he comes out, if I could clink, I would do it, but I can't. That's the actual sound effect. But I mean, it's and that's a cool thing. I mean, dude, you do video. You do not only do you do video editing, filmmaking. You do the podcasting, so that's audio. You're also a musician. So like, I always lose. The only thing I always tell people like, I got the acting background, but it's like anybody can do that shit. So it's like I guess. But it's like every time I meet someone like you, it's like, oh man, he's got everything covered. I'm like, but I can act. But like, I don't know how to play instruments. But I have but you know what, dude? I think it might be a little genetic because we do have a piano and I do have a mandolin and like some bongos and harmonicas. Because I'm like, I just have for my kid to be like, one day I hope he's gonna unlock it. He's gonna be like, hey, I could do this, you know.
It's it's so funny. Like for a long time, I was like loving punk rock. I was growing up. I was like, I want to play. And I was like, it's too hard. I can't learn guitar. It's too hard. And then you start playing, and it's like my fingers hurt. I can't stretch this much, whatever it is. And then it's what you don't realize it, but like anyone can just do it. You just got to keep doing it. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's like just do it. Start as young as you possibly can. Because I regret that I put years aside. I started when I was like 18. And I wish I started when I was like 12. You know what I mean? Yeah. But anyone can play instruments. You just got to fucking sit down and practice. No matter what. If you're like, I'm just going to sit down and practice a half an hour every day playing an instrument, you're going to get good at your instrument no matter what.
When you say that, when you said when you were 12, was that when you first had the thought? I think I started taking guitar lessons around that time, but I was playing basketball too. And I kept breaking my middle finger. I broke my middle finger. Well, I mean, I only broke it twice, but it took a while to heal. And then I broke it again. And I was like, fuck this. And I just quit guitar. You know what I mean? Because it was like, what am I going to do? But I wish I just stuck with it. It seemed like such a chore at the time. And the broken middle finger made it feel like even like, what am I doing with this? All right. You just unlocked something real quick, Chuck.
Yeah.
You still hooping? You still playing ball?
Dude, I wish. I love it. I love playing basketball. Oh my God. I love it.
Dude, I still play now. I play in competitive. I still do it, dude.
Really? Oh, I'm jealous. I love it.
I still play now, dude. I have JUCO experiences. I have a few games under my belt, and that's all I say. Like, I don't really like. Yeah, it's like you try it out. It was good enough. But no, I play. I do. When we go over there, because East Coast has the best basketball. So we go out there. We gotta go hoop, man.
Dude, I'd love to play. It's funny. I drive back and forth from Rhode Island to New York, and I see these like basketball courts that are on like near the highway, and there's all like lights on all night, and I'm like, oh, I'm so jealous. I'd love to go play. You know what I mean?
Dude,
But it's been a little bit.
when I get on the train in New Jersey, when you're driving through, that trips me out because it's like all of a sudden it'll be like, or there's a lot of greenery. No one ever explained to me there's so many trees. So you'll see a lot of greenery, and then you'll see like a dark, sketchy area, and then all of a sudden you'll see like houses, beautiful houses,
Yeah.
and in between everything there'll be like a beautiful park.
Oh yeah.
And
Awesome parks.
I'm like, dude, I just want to go play, but I saw the ghetto right there. So I was like, can I go play? Like, do I gotta pay a toll or something? Because the park looks so beautiful. Like, there's two of them back to back. I think one's like Ashbury or something, where it's like covered there's like a round. There's like all
really?
trees around it, and I'm just like, that's so awesome. You can play in there, and no one knows you're playing in there, but people on the train. It's like I want to get down there so bad. Oh, but I know not to. I'm like, oh. Plus nowadays, like I had to learn to like take off like the rules from my head because people play like nowadays, and nowadays is like from the older times. So there's a lot of traveling, a lot of carrying.
Oh, I know.
I don't want to be like the old guy, but that was a carry. Other way. It's just like I don't want to be that guy. So I'm like,
how many steps was that?
And I was like, let's let it go. Just let it go. I always do. My joke is always like, being a dad. I don't want to I have dad jokes, but I don't want to like. I have dad jokes up the wazoo, but I can't use them. So I feel like I'm a carrion, and I gotta be like, they're just minorities. They're not doing anything wrong. I don't need to call the police. Just leave them alone. Like, I feel like that with the dad jokes. I'm like, oh, I can't say that. I can't say that. But it's like, dude. And then I don't know. But yeah, that's what I feel like. I feel like I think that whole area is so cool. Getting lost in New Jersey is pretty fun. Just walking around and then, but you know, the view skew is why it kind of brings together a little bit. And Kevin Smith movies. When I go out there and I see where those movies were shot and those scenes, it feels, I don't know, it takes that fantasy of a movie and it brings it into reality. Like, hey, this was actually shot here. You could literally take your phone out and shoot the same exact scene if you want.
Yeah.
Why does what is that sign that only is in that Clerks 2 intro? Why does it stick out so much? Because it's in the Clerks 2 intro. Like it would just be a regular sign, but the fact that it's still there after all these years, it just, I don't know. I think I appreciate things, and I think I think time does pass, and I don't think a lot of people realize that. So whenever we can get these conventions together and go hang out, I always feel like it's like that's where it's like the adult hangouts, you know. Like I'd rather stay home and do nothing for the rest of the year until I go to a convention. That's when I can like. Because also it's one of the first things I noticed after my third convention. Because Chuck, I'm already up there, dude. I only started in 2019, but I'm already like at 25 or something like that.
Damn.
I hit them hard, dude. I'd been wanting to do them for like 15 years, and then my kid was born. And it was like, yo, you're either gonna do it or you're either shit or get off the pot. You're either gonna do it or you're never gonna do it. So then I started going, and when you were talking about earlier about the interactions with the people that were you're moderating. I was in the middle of Gold Dust from wrestling and 1-2-3 Kid. What's his name? Xbox. Yeah. They got into it, and I was in the middle. It was so funny, dude. I was like, I want to record this so bad, but I don't know if I can. They got into character, and Gold. I went to take a selfie with Gold Dust and Dusty Rhodes, and Xbox goes, why you spend your money on him? Why you spending your money on him? I go, why? I got money for you too. He goes, you're not spending on him. You're not spending it on Riff Raff. And he got up, and then they like jokingly got into it.
Yeah, that's killer.
This is my first convention. I don't like, is this real? Is this, I don't know what's going on.
That's awesome. I love that.
You see it, and you're like, oh, they're in character. This is awesome. It's beautiful. Like, I appreciate this. This is cool.
Awesome.
And then I think that's what it all comes down to, man. And that's why Kevin Smith is amazing, because it's like you can actually talk to the man. You could actually, you could actually meet him. You could actually you have a question, and I think that's what's so cool about someone like that. He has a lot of material out there about himself. So once you go through all that, then you know what questions to ask. That's why it kills me when I'm at a panel and somebody asks like a clerk's question that's like you wasted your goddamn time. You're wasting our time here. We all know this answer. Why why did you Google this shit before you showed up? Like
that's one of the tough things about moderating is because I've asked questions before and people have been like, oh, like they, like people have heard that. And it's like, well, but this might be someone's panel that they've never gone to a Comic Con before. and they're seeing this person for the first time and they want to hear them talk about it, even though it's a well-worn thing.
Oh, I
It's
get
tough.
you.
It's tough. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because there's super fans and stuff, and there's people who are like, I listen to every Smodcast or whatever. But then there's people who are like, I'm seeing Christina Ricci in person for the first time, and I have to be like, what was it like to become part of the Addams family? You know what I mean? Like whatever it is, I have to say that stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh wow, yeah. I don't
So it's tough. It's really tough. Like it's funny. I will say, so we were talking to I was talking to a buddy of mine who also does moderating, and I was doing a MASH panel recently with Jamie Farr and Loretta Swit, and he was like, ask him about this episode. Just ask him about this episode of MASH. And I was like, all right. And I didn't ask about it. And then someone in the audience asked about it. And the guy that told me to was in the back. He was like, see, I told you. And when I talked to him afterwards, and I was like, I call those Chris Farley show questions. When you're like, remember this? That was awesome. Like, that's a Chris Farley show. Have you seen the Chris Farley show on SNL? Have you seen it?
Dude, I think I have. I just not.
So he basically, all he does is the idea is that he's a bad interviewer, and he'll be like, he'll have like Paul McCartney on, and he'll be like, remember the Beatles?
Oh yes,
yes,
like,
yeah, That was awesome, and that's it.
Yeah. And he's very shy.
I go, that's for the people that are kind of come up to the microphone and ask questions. They want to have that experience. They want to say, do you remember this? And the person goes, yes, and they say, that was awesome. I'm like, that's not for me to do as a professional interviewer. That's for the people that just want to express themselves. Get to do. I don't want to take those from them, and also for me, it doesn't really add a lot of value to it, you know. But yeah, that is part. It's so funny because the idea of like, do you want to ask a deep cut question? Do you want to ask a question that people might have heard the answer? Do you want to ask a question that is the most mainstream thing because that's the most people in the audience will know what they're talking about? And you really kind of have to balance that stuff. It's odd.
Yeah. So what's your out of your experience going to the conventions and moderating, what's been your favorite convention?
I mean, the Rhode Island Comic Con is so crazy because there's so many people and they have such awesome guests, and like you will do like, oh, we're gonna have a Pinky in the Brain. We're gonna moderate for the voices of Pinky in the Brain, and they'll just fill up the whole room. And like that's not always the case with these different panels and stuff like that. So Rhode Island Comic Con, and plus they've been so kind to us. They've really invited us to do different things. They sponsor our shows, our live comedy shows and stuff like that. So it's like they've kind of been like what I would consider like our con family. So it's got to be Rhode Island Comic Con. But we've had a lot of fun everywhere we've gone. We had a crazy time at Big Apple Con years ago. Do you have one where
any celebrity stories where you're like, oh, that was the best? Like,
I mean, well, I was filming with Kevin at Smodcastle, and it was a talk between Kevin and Steve Buscemi. And so I was like, this is cool. And I was filming it. It's me and Josh Roush were filming it.
Yeah.
And then they're taking pictures afterwards, whatever. And at one point, at the old Smodcastle, there's that little area where there's like the booth.
Yeah.
So it's really small. And it was just me and Steve Buscemi in that little booth area. And I'm like, and I turned to him and he looked at me and I was like, what am I going to say to you? You're the coolest motherfucker on the face of the earth. And he just laughed. And I was like, that's exactly the situation you want. You want to say a funny thing, make him laugh, tell him you care about him and get out. And that was pretty cool. And I mean, all the stuff that, the clerks cast panel is really cool to be on stage, stuff like that. We moderated for the cast of the new It too.
Okay.
And that was pretty cool. That was pretty fun. It's funny. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough because everything has different sets of challenges. The Christina Ricci one is probably my most memorable one because I've never felt so like nervous about it. That made me really nervous because it's this person, you grow up, you have this connection to them, and then you're face to face and you're having a conversation. So that one was actually very memorable to me, but she probably doesn't even remember me. The next day I brought her donuts from a great donut place in Providence. And I slipped a wedding ring into one. I was hoping she'd, agree to marry me.
That's smooth, Chuck. That's smooth.
Yeah, she choked. It was bad. But
oh yeah, she almost died. But hey, no. So yeah, dude, this is from Rhode Island from 2021 when I met Kevin. That was the first time I met him. Like,
oh damn, that's great.
Dude, that the crazy thing is, I left at like 5:40 in the morning to Rhode Island from Austin, and Kevin was here the night before. and I was at the airport and at 5:40, and there he was, and I was like, oh, I don't want to fanboy out, but I do want to talk to him. But so I just walked up to Kev because he was talking to the, I guess the flight where you check in, and then he was just chilling and he was just standing, and I go, you know, I'm flying all the way to the East Coast to go meet you, and you're right here in front of me. He goes, hey, no shit, I'll see you in Rhode Island. I was like, oh, damn, that's better. I was like, I don't know, I just wanted to talk to him, but I can't.
That's awesome. Cool. You could say that to him. I mean, he's great about stuff like that.
Oh, dude, and then this also, I was hanging out with Scott, man. Scott and I had a great time, dude. Dude, he's such a cool guy. I think
they all are. They're so good.
Yeah, he's helped me out with like what do you call it, my addiction issues because it just, as you get older and you tend to not meet people in your boat, you tend to feel like you're either lost, outcast, or you're wrong, because a lot of people want to say, look, but then you meet someone that's older and you're like, oh, this guy can do it. You know what? I'm good.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be everybody, but there's a one person that I admire and I can see being like that. I'm cool with that. I'm good. That's all I need. But it took me forever to get to that point. And then finally I got here. I was just like, all right, cool. You know, I've been working on for like a year and a half for a fan animation film I've been doing, but man, it's just, I got to figure out my scheduling. It's weird. Like, I keep seeing myself as the tip of the spear in my life, and I got to plan ahead. I got to, like, whatever I want to do, I got to put it ahead of me, or I'm not going to get to it. Because if I just think about it, it's going to fall. It's going to fall to the side and not get to it.
Dude, I know. I think the idea of how much, like how many spreadsheets I make about projects I'm doing to be like, by this day I have to be here, by this day I have to be here, by this day, it's super helpful to do that kind of stuff. And it's tough. It's tough to do.
Dude, that's why I'm taking project management like crazy. I've been doing like Skillshare, just watching the 30-minute project management videos, so they stick them. They're there. It sucks because I already have a degree in those shit, but it's been so long, I'm forgetting. And then modern techniques, and you got now this like the whole. I just can't. You have a very like elegant way you do social media. You do it where it's fun. You're actually sharing something you want to share. It's enjoyable. We can relate, and if we can't relate, it's just you like showing like you're having a good time. Where I feel like a lot of people are trying to make it a business, and I think
dude, it's tough. I know. And it's funny too, because I'm in the process of like, I want to grow, but I don't want to be fake. It's very tough. It's really hard.
Dude, yeah, and I just got to, it's like, I get it. I feel like once you get on that train, you got to stay on it. So I keep like dabbling into it, getting off, but I'm like, all right, I'm ready to get on this train. Let's do this, because it's fun. Yeah, because every time I talk to you about anything, it's just always great that you have enthusiasm and you're enjoying what you're talking about. You're enjoying, and it's like, dude, it's like hard finding people that are like, oh, I would do that too if I didn't have to go to work. I'm like, well, we all had to work. You just figure it out. You know?
I know.
It's like, shit, dude. It is work, by the way. It's just different kind of work. But
exactly.
Back there, I see that little table back there. Is that the spine?
NBA. That's an NBA. Oh, this thing right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a spine thing. I lay upside down. I hang like a bat.
Well, I need to get one of those. How many times do you do it?
I mean, basically, you're just supposed to do it like 10 minutes a day, and that's it.
Dude, I need to get one. Inverted. What's it called? Inverted.
It's called an inversion table. Yeah.
Inversion table. There you go. Yeah, I need to get one of those. You can get them off Facebook for like $90. They're only like $200 for new. But now I just noticed you pulling out. Is that an NBA Jam table?
Yeah, NBA Jam cabinet. And there's a Simpsons one around the corner. You can't see it, but there's a Simpsons one.
Dude, I got the Mortal Kombat one. I got the Mortal Kombat 2 one.
Hell yeah.
Dude, oh man, yeah, dude. It's just something about it, dude. My mom used to drop me off my mom would go shopping for like 6 hours and leave me at the arcade for 6 hours. They're right next to each other. And dude, I would just go to town, man.
Oh my god,
dude.
Yeah.
I used to love Mortal Kombat. I still do. Killer Instinct is the one I wanted. Dude, Killer Instinct is pretty bad, but I Street Fighter, all those. Just I mean, and it's a thing to go to the conventions and like to see things that I enjoy and that remind me of my childhood. But it's another thing to be like, man, I feel like I can do like a fan video of this or something. I don't know. I just feel like
I know. Yeah.
I like the video. I like some stuff that's older that can be modernized but not be super like changed, just to the point where it makes sense to people nowadays. But then again, dude, I always feel like, man, ever since 2020, I feel like we've been in the same day every day. It just changes. The weather just changes a little bit.
I know.
It's just trying to figure out like what do we do today? What's going to happen? I was like, I don't know. It always feels the same. But I think because it's also like you can go back and look. You can go back archive. Michael Jackson was better at this than this person, and you can go back to nowadays. It's like, holy shit! Like we can fast forward, we can rewind. Like before, life was just going forward. It was just what it is. Now it's like, it's trippy, and it's being older. It's like, so you see a younger person like, hey, do you know about the Macarena? And I'm like, Yeah, I fucking know. Yeah, dude. And I was like, yo,
That's
like
hilarious.
it trips me out, dude. Like I'm like, yeah, dude. Like I was in third grade when that song came out. It's like,
That's
but
hilarious.
Chuck, man, we've been talking for about an hour and 25 minutes. I don't want to take too much more of your time, dude. I do want to appreciate you. Thank you for coming on the show. I do want to ask you one final question though.
Yeah, yeah.
What? Let me see. Let me find. I know I got it somewhere here. Where are we at? Where are we at? So this is where it all got started for me. See, I met all three of them on
Oh
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's where I was like, I like Brian shows. See, you see my background. I'm in the same spot. You see all that stuff,
Oh yeah,
but
yeah,
but
yeah.
now
Yeah,
it's
I heard
like
you saying that at the beginning.
my kids' stuff is all here.
Right.
Let me see real quick. Where was I going to see? Where did I move that? Yeah, here we go. Is it right there? Is it this one? There we go. Chuck, what is your Manic media? What do you use to unwind? Do you listen to records? Do you draw? Do you write? What do you do to unwind? This is what the show is about. Mental health. What do you like to do to just chill?
Honestly, okay, a couple things. One, if let's say I have like a day, right? Let's say I have like a Monday where I don't have to do anything. What I want to do is I want to go to a new coffee shop that's good, get a new coffee there, get like whatever their best thing is. I always ask the barista what's the best thing. I go to like a new record store, look for some records, go to a new comic book store, look for some new comic books, collectibles, and just like check out a new area, or maybe even like that night, like go to a new restaurant with like a park nearby or something and go for a walk. Like I like the idea of getting out, going to new places, taking the things that I like, which could be like music, comic books, whatever, and finding new places. Like that, to me, that's like a good relaxation day. And maybe even going to the movies too. Like I love going to the movies. Obviously, it's like my number one thing. But then if I'm just at home and I just want to unwind a little bit, it's so weird. I've gotten so into this. I watch so many YouTube documentaries about retro video games and retro like wrestling stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'll just watch like I just watched all of the Monday Night Wars documentary on the WF network. It was on the WF network. Now it's on Peacock. It's an hour each every episode, and they go through WCW versus WF, and they actually have the ratings and stuff and why they made different decisions. And like those documentaries about that point in time, or stuff about Super Mario World or Donkey Kong Country or like old video games that I love, that's the stuff where I'm just like, I just want to chill out and watch this. And that's what I love to do.
Dude, that's all. That's like you're speaking like what I love doing.
Yeah, that's the best.
I like the Andre the Giant documentary on HBO, or now it's called the Max. But
I know,
dude,
I haven't watched it yet. I heard it's awesome.
dude. You gotta. It's just. I mean, it's like kind of funny because it's all this stuff. Like, cause we know all. Well, if like I knew like I saw a documentary, then I saw all the stuff about Andre the Giant, like all the like stuff that like he smelled and all the stuff like that, like all those from other wrestlers, how he hated Macho Man, and then you realize you start connecting the dots. You're like, oh my god, that's horrible. But no, dude, I do wrestling. I grew up watching wrestling and doing the backyard thing. So my favorite movie of all time is 1986 Transformers the movie.
Really? You know that I know nothing about the Transformers. I've never watched the TV show or anything.
You do GoBots or not? Did you watch Mask? What do you?
It was Ninja Turtles for me, man.
Oh, yeah.
I never really got into Transformers. I don't know why. I've never been into. It's so funny, actually. Me and Brad had a big fight one time because you ever see a flyer or a thing for like called a Touch a Truck event? Have you ever heard of this?
No.
So it'll be for like little kids, and they'll be like Touch a Truck, and you'll go to like I get it. You'll go to like a police station, and they'll bring in like the fire trucks and all the stuff, and you can see all the trucks up close. And like I get it, that's cool, fire truck, cool. But I'm like, who wants to touch a truck? And Brad's like, are you kidding me? Kids love trucks. And I'm like, I hate trucks. I don't know if that's part of it, but I never cared about vehicles. I don't know why.
I was just saying that general, huh?
It's just weird. I don't know what it is. I mean, I think when you're a kid, like certain things just hit you at the right time and they pull you in different directions. And for me, it was Ninja Turtles like crazy.
Dude, I wish I just looked because I have my my mom actually gave me 2 time capsules, which actually I think helped me out as an adult. But one of them had I picked it myself, was a TV tray from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, copyrighted 1987.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah,
I'm like, dude, I don't even care how much that is. That's mine. I'm never giving that up. That's inheritance. That's going down to my son. Now
Yes.
I'm gonna give him like till he's 30 if he wants to sell that shit. I don't want to know, but you know, but I think I think just hold on to that. What's your favorite movie? What's a Chuck?
Honestly, like my top movies, I always loved Chasing Amy. That was huge for me. That was a huge movie for me. I know it's kind of like cliche. I love Fight Club. I love
Dude,
Fight
that's a
Club.
good movie. That's a good movie. That's a good Friday night flick movie, dude.
Oh, it's great. I love Dark Knight. I know again, it's very like cliche, but Dark Knight to me is like the best of the best in terms of like popcorn action. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
You know, it's so good. I love the movie Don't Think Twice that Mike Birbiglia directed. It's about improv comedy in New York, and it's like it's a drama. It's so good. It's so excellent. That's one of my favorites. It's funny. There's a lot. I mean, it's so funny because I start getting into genres, but like Anchorman is up there for my favorite movie.
Yeah.
Pop Star, the Lonely Island comedy. I don't know. A lot of people haven't seen it. It's so good.
I own it. I haven't seen it.
Fun.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard so many good things. They say I own it. I just haven't seen it.
It's up there. It's up there with Anchorman to me for how funny it is.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. No, I grew up with. I think the animation background and whatnot. I think what I always say Transformers is because I had an aunt that had special needs, and I grew up with her. Mm-hmm. And when she passed away, I used to go to movies with her all the time. When she passed away, that movie kind of helped me kind of get over that. So
yeah.
I think that's it. But dude, right after that, I have like 1A, 1B, and 1C. Yeah. And it's freaking I Love You, Man. And
I Love You, Man's great.
That's great. And Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. I freaking love that
Kumar,
movie, dude.
It's killer. John Cho is killer. Have you seen the movie Searching?
No, I've heard about it. I've heard.
It's fucking awesome. See it. John Cho kills it.
I've heard he's gone like serious in the last few. Like he's got like 3 or 4.
Yeah, and he's so talented. It's crazy.
Dude, he killed it in Star Trek. When I saw him in Star Trek,
I know.
I was like, oh shit, he's doing good here.
He's excellent.
Yeah, dude, and it's just a lot of it. I think it's just I think it's just understanding what it takes to make a movie because it's hard. But I think it's understand what it takes. Actors getting it, everybody getting the role. It's like, dude, it's playing a game. It's playing a real life video game, and it's just like I'm getting it, but at the same time, it's like I just want to make a goddamn. One of my favorite things about Jaws, like just Jaws. There's no remake, but my favorite thing about Jaws, other than the badass movie, when you get to the very end, and it shows you the end credits, Jaws is only like three screens. It's only like 3.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
It ends.
I know.
And I've always loved that because it always shows me like you don't need 8 pages of. Not all the time. Maybe for Fast and the Furious 11 you do, but like when they finally decide to go into Jurassic Park. And by the way, it's all freaking toys because my kid is like loves Hot Wheels and Jurassic Park, and I'm like, well, that's why they're talking about mixing them because they're going with the kids where they can make toys. But I think it's just something about that. I'm like, man, like what is it? But to connect, I don't know. They keep the movies. I enjoy them. I even like watching like horrible movies nowadays, just so I can like not even horrible, just low as independent as possible. I watch.
Oh, I love it. You know, you should watch. You watch the movie Hush. The movie's awesome.
Oh, dude, is it the one with where there's? Are you talking about the one with Keanu Reeves or?
No, this movie takes place in the woods, and it's a deaf woman.
I've seen it. Yes,
it's awesome. It's excellent.
It's scary, dude.
Yeah, it's excellent.
Oh, dude, yes. Oh man, I saw that movie. That went through that time when I was just watching horror movies, and I picked that one, and I was like, well, I don't know anything about it. Let me watch it. And the way the spoilers alert here, the way the fiance dies, I was like, that's lame, but makes a lot of sense. If you're not paying attention to me, I'm gonna stab you in the throat. But but it's just I don't know, man. That movie, yeah. See, that's one of those like new mind.
For sure.
Even
that's what I love though. I love movies that there's just like a limited, like Knives Out is one of my favorite movies, and it all kind of takes place in one location, pretty much. You know what I mean? Yeah. I love that stuff.
I even give Wrong Reasons a good shout out for like psychological because the way Josh, it's not just like going this way in the story; it's going back this way into the story. So right. Like that's a good one too. But yeah, man, you know what? I don't want to take more of your time, Chuck. I know you got a busy day tomorrow. You're an hour ahead of me. So I don't know if you want to do some shout outs real quick. Check out
my podcast, Funbearable. We're at Funbearable Pod on every social media. Go to funbearablepod.com to check out our show. We've had a bunch of comics on, Mark Norman, Joe List, Kevin Ryan from Are You Garbage. The Tell 'em Steve Dave guys have been on a few times. We're doing a lot of fun stuff over there. It's a great time with myself, Brad Rohr, and Ray Harrington. Check out Tuesdays with Stories and the producer and then the videographer behind the scenes. Check out all the Tell 'em Steve Dave stuff. We have a very, the Patreon is awesome. I love being part of it. I love contributing. And yeah, really cool stuff coming up. I actually just sold a show to Discovery Channel, but I can't talk about it yet.
Ooh.
So that's going to be coming up soon. I shot a sizzle reel, and Discovery picked it up, and I'm very excited for them to kind of announce it so that I can start talking about it.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, I got the before, so I'm
yeah, right. So we'll see.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, no, I'm gonna see what I could do and go help you out over there on the East Coast, man. Because it's
do it,
dude. Over there, also too, just taking third place at the tournament. Kind of, I need to go back and see the poker tournament.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, dude, I had a good time. Dude, those are just great times, just hanging out. And,
oh yeah, for sure.
But you know, it's. I never really whenever I go somewhere, I just go. I don't like.
Yeah.
If I know somebody, I know them. If I don't, I'll introduce myself. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
And then when I went over there, it was funny because the third time I went over there 3 times, and the third time I went over there, I was hanging out with Derek Alviti and another gentleman named Vincent, and at a certain point, they were saying hi to everybody, and I was saying hi to the same people, and they're like, "How do you know everybody?" I was like, "That's Castle, man. I was just hanging out there, and we all just hang out there, and we just all get to know each other, and we just chill."
Right. Yeah.
And the whole independent vibe out there. You know, Troy Burbank is killing it out there too with the independent stuff. Him and Ernie did a good job, and Wasted Blind.
Yeah.
So it's like they got movies coming out, and I'm looking forward to all that stuff. I think the independent feels like it's everybody talks about it, but it's like over there where you guys are really doing it. Because
I hope that's true. Yeah, I hope, man. I'm pushing,
dude. But also because you got to understand here in Texas, like everybody's independent no matter what you choose to, because we're in the middle of everything. But where you're at, you're literally where everything's at, and like I feel like the quality is right under them. They're not letting you guys come up. So I always feel like just keep going because you guys are just doing it.
I hope so, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate you having me on the show. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude. Thank you, man. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Because I just look forward to anything you guys do, and I think of anything that anybody learns from me or anything, I'm all about independent. I'm all about DIY. I'm all about just do it yourself. Mm-hmm. Might not be the best, but you'll get some places, and people like you show me that because, dude, you're constantly grinding, constantly hustling, and it shows. It shows in your work. It shows, and that's what I'm saying. I'm like pretty envious. I'm like he's enjoying it. Like half the time I don't want to even post because I'm like in a bad mood, and I'm just like I'm being all emotional, I'm being all emo and shit.
Oh, I'm always emo. I'm always pissed.
Oh, I did want to say that I love that meme that when it shows Ace Ventura at the punk rock. The guy, and it says when your non-metal friend or non-punk friend shows up to the shows.
Yeah.
That's me, dude. Yeah, that's me, dude. Like, like it's crazy. Like, it's like I'm in the punk scene, but not because I'm a punk, because I support the punk way. So I get the respect. It's so crazy because I've been doing it since I was a kid. I got lucky that my cousin was into Pantera, Type O Negative, 9 Inch Nails. Mm-hmm. I got exposed to all that.
Yeah.
So
right.
When I got older, emo or whatnot, and you have all these other bands, but then like there's still punk rock. So I was like always gravitating to that. I love the Dropkick Murphys. I love like really just hardcore bunks. And then I was like, you know what? I'm not that hardcore, but I respect you guys.
Yeah.
So
it
was also the punk guys were like, hey, you want to get shit faced? Like, yeah, sure. It's like I was like,
right.
Why not? Let's have a good time, man. We're here to just fucking let go and rage. And it's always a good time, man. I mean, thank you, Chuck, man. It's always a good time with you, man.
Oh, dude, absolutely.
I'll be bothering you on the IG soon, and I look forward to seeing you on the East Coast, man. Hey, take care, dude.
Thanks for having me.
All right, brother. Take care.
Thanks.
Peace. Hey, everybody. That's a good friend of mine. Like I barely met him not too long ago, but just conversations we have on the interactions we do. Chuck's always been super supportive. I mean, anytime I have a question, every time I ask him, even when I first met him, he just kind of, like, my ideas for all this, I didn't even realize I'm wearing James Hunt. My ideas for all this stuff I was doing were everywhere. Meeting Chuck really helped me, like, narrow it down and figure out, because I do have a lot of things, and like Chuck, he has a lot of stuff too. Like he said, he even like writes them down. But I have a lot of things I had, and just talking to him helped me like weed it out and focus on things. So, it's always good to keep people close, and always good to support people because you never know like what they're in, what they're doing, and hey, I got a convention this weekend. I'm gonna go, so to see who I meet, And then next weekend, I got a movie I'm going to be in. So we'll talk about that next week or the following week. But also, like I said, this is the reason why I picked Bon Jovi, East Coast guy, New Jersey. It's easy to say I love you to someone, but it's more meaningful to thank someone for loving you, Bon Jovi. So now let's take away a lot of the love part. But what I was saying with Chuck was like, it's easy to say like, hey, I'll help you out. But it's actually like for someone to actually help you out, especially as little as it is in social media where you ask a question and someone can easily just reply right back. That's cool because he does. It takes the time. It's hard. I get people, please stop hitting me up for money. People, I get a lot of people hit me up for money. I don't have money. I use credit cards for a lot of this stuff and I pay them back. If you need me to show you how to finance things, I could kind of help you out. But, it's always great to like have somebody who you can fall back. And Chuck's master at all this. So, I appreciate him being here. Like I said, watch his shows. I'll post some stuff on there. You'll see it on the webpage, on the webpage, the Facebook page. But everybody, it was nice. Thank you for hanging out on my Manic Mondayz on Thursday. I got a convention this weekend, a horror convention. I'll be bringing some stuff back for you next week or maybe the following week. We'll see when I catch up with it. But everybody, thank you for hanging out, and you have a good night.